Food hoarding challenge. Aliens laugh until they have to beg for food from humans. Eli Navarro stepped off the shuttle, boots sinking into Orpheus Delta's reddish soil. The planet's gravity, 1.2 times Earth's, tugged at his worn jacket. Heavy air pressed against his skin, carrying a faint metallic tang. Above, auroras shimmered faintly, their colors swirling under the dual suns. Magnetic storms were common here, a fact Eli noted as he adjusted his pack. The CIFR Academy loomed ahead, a training ground for students from countless species. Its sleek metallic towers gleamed, reflecting the strange light. Floating platforms glided silently between buildings. Holographic displays pulsed with data, and climate-controlled domes hummed softly, shielding the campus from the harsh environment. Eli walked forward, steps steady despite the pull. Other students moved around him. Some hovered, their forms gaseous or luminescent. Others strode on segmented limbs or rolled on tracks. The air buzzed with activity, a blend of alien voices and mechanical whirs. At the lecture hall's entrance stood Dr. Helix Carr, her crystalline body catching the light like a prism. She raised a limb, her voice resonating through the crowd. Welcome to the 30-day food storage exam. Precision and innovation will define your success. Eli stood at the back, listening closely. The task was simple yet daunting. Store enough food to survive a month in isolation using any method. Era, a gas-based life form, drifted forward first. Her translucent form shimmered as she unveiled a sleek device. The nutrient gas compressor glowed faintly, compacting essentials into a breathable mist. "This sustains me perfectly," she said, her voice a soft hum. Voss Harrow followed, his 6 mechanical arms moving with precision. His nutrient paste generator stood tall, its panels boasting a 99% energy conversion rate. "Efficient and unbreakable," Voss declared, his metallic tone brimming with confidence. Sylvie Linden came next, her bark-like skin rustling as she presented her project. A soil tray sat beside a photosynthesis lamp, its light tuned for perfect absorption. "My roots will thrive," Sylvie murmured, her leaves quivering with quiet pride. Eli waited, feeling eyes on him. The presentations ended, and he stepped forward. "I'd like to dig a tunnel for a natural food storage cellar." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Era tilted her form curiously. Voss clicked his arms, amused. Dr. Carr's crystals dimmed slightly, her gaze sharp. "This isn't Earth, Navarro. We don't dig holes here." Her words carried a weight of authority. The class nodded in agreement, their tech-filled minds aligned. Eli stood firm, his voice calm. "Understood, Doctor, but I'd like to proceed if permitted." Dr. Carr sighed, waving a limb. "Fine, keep it contained." Eli nodded, moving to a quiet corner of the hall. He pulled a sketch pad from his jacket, pencil scratching swiftly. The Nexus cellar took shape on paper. Salt for preservation, wind for cooling, roots for sustenance. He muttered softly to himself. "Salt draws out moisture. Wind keeps it fresh. Roots hold strong." Era floated closer, her form swirling. "Why not use a molecular synthesizer?" she asked, genuinely puzzled. Eli glanced up, a faint smile on his lips. "Nature's reliable. Tech can falter." She hummed, unconvinced, and drifted away. The academy buzzed around him. Platforms carried supplies overhead. Holograms flashed weather updates. Eli felt the planet's gravity again, a reminder of Earth's storms. His family had survived floods and outages with simple methods. Those lessons guided his pencil now. Ventilation paths curved naturally in his sketch, designed to harness Orpheus Delta's winds. Voss passed by, his generator humming softly. "Primitive," he scoffed, his arms folding. Eli's smile didn't waver. "We'll see." Sylvie lingered nearby, her lamp casting a gentle glow. "It's interesting," she said, her voice soft. "But complicated." Eli shrugged. "Simple when it matters." Dr. Carr made her rounds inspecting projects. She praised Era's compact design and Voss's efficiency. Sylvie's setup earned a nod of approval. Eli got a glance. "Functional, I suppose," she said, her tone clipped. He returned to his sketch, unfazed. Evening settled over the campus. Lights dimmed for the night cycle. Eli gathered basic tools from a supply shed: a shovel, some rope, and a small lamp. Others relied on fabricators, their projects glowing with tech. He studied the auroras outside, their colors intensifying. Magnetic fields could disrupt more than just moods here. He added extra vents to his sketch, planning for the worst. The nexus would be underground, cool, and steady. He tested a dried root from his pack, its crunch satisfying. Salt crystals sparkled in his hand, promising preservation. Wind would flow through, guided by careful angles. Eli walked to his quarters, gravity pulling at each step. The auroras glowed brighter, a quiet warning. He lay down, sketching the nexus in his mind. It would work, no question. The Academy's systems hummed softly, but a faint vibration rippled through the floor. Nothing major, just a flicker in the weather controls. Eli noted it, storing his sketch pad. Tomorrow he'd start digging. Sleep came easily, his confidence rooted in simplicity. Dawn broke over Orpheus Delta, the dual suns casting long shadows across the CIFR Academy. Eli Navarro rose early, his shovel slung over one shoulder. The campus hummed with activity, students calibrating their high-tech projects. He headed to a patch of open ground near the lecture hall, where the soil was soft but stable. Gravity pulled harder here than on Earth, but Eli's muscles adjusted, each step deliberate. He drove the shovel into the dirt, breaking ground for his Nexus cellar. Sweat beaded on his brow as he worked, the rhythmic scrape of metal against soil grounding him. Others glanced over, their sleek devices whirring and glowing. Eli ignored them, focused on the tunnel taking shape. Aera drifted by, her gaseous form catching the morning light. "Why not use a molecular synthesizer?" she asked, hovering above the growing pile of dirt. Eli paused, leaning on his shovel. "Nature's reliable. Tech can fail." His voice stayed calm, but his words carried weight. Aera tilted, her form rippling with doubt, then floated away to tweak her compressor. Eli returned to digging, carving a downward slope. The tunnel needed to be deep enough to stay cool, with vents to channel the planet's brisk winds. He pictured the nexus clearly: a salt storage nook, racks for drying food, a fermentation chamber for tangy preserves. Voss Harrow's mechanical steps clanked nearby. His 6 arms adjusted his nutrient paste generator, its panels gleaming. "Primitive methods," he scoffed, his voice a metallic rasp. "My generator could sustain 50 beings for a month." Eli wiped dirt from his hands. "Good luck when the power cuts." Voss clicked his arms, dismissing him, but Eli caught a flicker of curiosity in his optics. The human kept digging, shaping a chamber below. Cool air rose from the depths, a promising sign. He braced the walls with simple wooden supports, scavenged from supply crates. Sylvie Linden approached, her leaves rustling softly. Her photosynthesis lamp glowed beside her soil tray. "I admire your patience," she said, her voice gentle, "but this seems impractical." Eli grinned, setting down his shovel. "It's practical when tech fails." Sylvie's branches swayed, unconvinced, but she lingered, watching him work. Eli's mind drifted briefly. Back on Earth, his family had survived a brutal flood with nothing but salted meat and root cellars. Those lessons shaped the Nexus. He shook off the memory, focusing on the task. The fermentation room needed precision. He carved a small alcove, sealing jars of vegetables in brine. Their sharp scent filled the air, mingling with the damp earth. Dr. Helix's car made her rounds, her crystalline form glinting under the suns. She inspected Aera's compressor, nodding at its efficiency. Voss's generator earned high praise for its output. Sylvie's lamp and soil tray got a meticulous review. When she reached Eli, she paused. The tunnel's entrance yawned behind him, dark and unassuming. "Progressing, Navarro?" she asked, her tone clipped. Eli nodded. "On track, Doctor." She gave a curt nod, her crystals dimming slightly, then moved on. Eli sensed her skepticism, but kept working, undeterred. A faint hum interrupted his thoughts. The Academy's weather system flickered, lights dimming for a split second. Students barely noticed, but Eli's eyes narrowed. Orpheus Delta's magnetic field was unstable, prone to disruptions. He tested the tunnel's airflow, kneeling at the entrance. A steady breeze flowed through, cool and crisp. Satisfied, he added another vent, angling it to catch the planet's natural drafts. The Nexus was coming together, its simplicity a stark contrast to the campus's glowing tech. By midday, the main chamber was done. Eli stood inside, his lamp casting shadows on the walls. He arranged racks for drying roots and proteins, their surfaces rough but sturdy. The salt nook sat ready, crystals glinting faintly. He stepped outside, wiping sweat from his face. Voss passed again, his generator humming louder now. "Still digging your hole?" he asked, a smirk in his tone. Eli chuckled. "It's more than a hole." Voss snorted but didn't press further. Sylvie returned later, her lamp flickering as she adjusted its settings. "Need help?" she offered, her leaves tilting toward him. Eli shook his head. "Appreciate it, but I'm good." She nodded, lingering. "It's bold, digging like this." Eli smiled, hammering a brace into place. "Bold's what survives." She moved on, her lamp glowing steadily again. As evening fell, the auroras brightened, their colors swirling chaotically. Eli paused, watching them. The planet's magnetic storms were unpredictable, a fact the Academy seemed to overlook. He stored extra supplies in the tunnel, more roots, more salt. Just in case. The campus lights dimmed for the night cycle, and Eli tested the Nexus one last time. Air flowed smoothly, keeping the chamber cool. He nodded to himself, satisfied. Back in his quarters, Eli reviewed his sketch. The Nexus was nearly complete. He added a final note: reinforce the entrance. Storms could bring debris. Sleep came quickly, the weight of the day settling over him. Outside, the auroras pulsed, a quiet warning of what might come. The final day of the exam dawned clear, but tension hung in the air like static. Eli Navarro emerged from his quarters, heading straight to the Nexus. The CIFR Academy buzzed with last-minute preparations. Students clustered around their projects, voices low and focused. Presentations loomed, each one a test of ingenuity. Eli glanced at the sky. Auroras flickered faintly, a subtle warning. He pushed the thought aside, focusing on his cellar. Aera hovered near her nutrient gas compressor, her form pulsing softly. She calibrated the dials with care. Worry crept in as she checked the gas mixture. It needed a precise 3:1 nitrogen-oxygen ratio. Any imbalance could spell trouble for her. "Steady now," she murmured to herself. The device hummed in response, but she felt a twinge of doubt. Voss Harrow stood tall beside his generator, his 6 arms moving swiftly. He ran diagnostics, screens flashing green. Confidence surged through him. The 500-kilowatt backup battery promised reliability. "Flawless," he said, his metallic voice echoing. No storm could touch this, he thought. Sylvie Linden tended her soil tray, her leaves rustling gently. She adjusted the lamp's spectrum, fine-tuning the wavelengths. The soil needed to stay nutrient-rich under the artificial glow. "Just right," she whispered, watching roots shift slightly. Her setup felt solid, a blend of nature and tech. Eli descended into the Nexus, carrying bundles of supplies. He stocked the racks with dried roots, their earthy scent filling the chamber. Salted proteins went into sealed jars, preserving their essence. Fermented greens followed, tangy and ready. He double-checked each seal, fingers tracing the lids. Airflow whispered through the vents, cool and steady. Satisfied, he climbed out, dusting off his jacket. A low hum rippled through the academy, subtle at first. Lights flickered briefly in the lecture hall. Magnetic interference toyed with minor systems, causing holograms to stutter. Students paused, exchanging glances. The hum faded, but the air felt charged. Dr. Helix Carr paced the hall, her crystalline form glinting. Distracted, she glanced at the weather AI's console. Warnings flashed about potential disruptions. She dismissed them with a wave. "The exam proceeds as planned," she announced firmly. Her voice carried authority, but her crystals dimmed a fraction. Inside Era, a faint pressure shift stirred her core. It felt like a whisper of imbalance. Her compressor hummed steadily, yet the sensation lingered. Under stress, it might falter. She pushed the fear down, focusing on her presentation, but the shift nagged at her, a quiet alarm. Eli stepped outside, his eyes drawn to the sky. The auroras intensified, colors swirling chaotically. Greens and purples clashed, brighter than before. He watched them dance, a knot forming in his gut. Storms brewed here without mercy. Others hurried past, oblivious. He slipped back into the nexus, arms laden with extra supplies. More roots, more salt, a few tools. He tucked them away in hidden nooks, sensing trouble brewing. The academy ignored the signs, but Eli prepared quietly. The chamber felt secure, its simplicity a shield. The morning wore on, presentations drawing near. Era floated back and forth, recalibrating once more. Her mixture held, but the pressure shift echoed faintly. Voss polished his generator, optics scanning for flaws. None appeared. Sylvie watered her soil, lamp glowing warm. Eli emerged from the tunnel, wiping his hands. The group gathered in the hall with Dr. Carr at the front. Whispers filled the air, excitement mixed with nerves. Eli stood apart, his jacket dusty. He glanced outside again. Auroras pulsed stronger now. A distant rumble echoed, too soft for most to hear. He moved to a window, watching closely. Dr. Carr called the first name. Era presented smoothly, her compressor demonstrating efficiency. Applause followed, light and polite. Voss went next, his generator whirring to life. Data scrolled across screens, impressive and precise. Sylvie followed, her lamp illuminating vibrant growth. Eli waited for his turn, mind on the sky. The hum returned, stronger this time. Systems glitched again, holograms fading briefly. Dr. Carr frowned but pressed on. "Next," she said. Era felt the shift deepen, her core tightening. She hovered lower, steadying herself. The compressor adjusted, but doubt grew. Eli noticed her unease but said nothing. The auroras blazed now, a chaotic ballet. Eli slipped away briefly, adding water skins to the nexus. Just in case. Others focused on critiques, blind to the building storm. Presentations continued, the hall alive with tech displays. Eli's turn approached. He stood ready, sketch in hand. The air crackled faintly, a prelude to chaos. Dr. Carr nodded at him. "Navarro." Eli stepped forward, voice steady. But outside, the sky darkened subtly. Winds picked up, whispering warnings. Eli Navarro stood ready to present, his sketch clutched tightly. The lecture hall buzzed, students murmuring over glowing screens. Suddenly, a deafening crack split the air. The ground trembled, and a massive magnetic storm erupted outside. Auroras flared violently, painting the sky in chaotic streaks. An electromagnetic pulse surged through the CIFR Academy, and systems collapsed. Holographic displays flickered, then died. Climate domes whined as their controls shorted out. The lights went dark, plunging the campus into shadow. Chaos erupted. Students shouted, their voices overlapping. Era's nutrient gas compressor sputtered, its glow fading. She gasped, her gaseous form flickering wildly. The 3:1 nitrogen-oxygen ratio destabilized, leaving her struggling to breathe. "It's failing," she whispered, panic rising. Voss's generator sparked violently, circuits frying under the storm's intensity. His 6 arms froze mid-motion. "Impossible," he growled, optics dimming. Sylvie's photosynthesis lamp went black, her leaves curling inward. "No light," she murmured, roots trembling in her tray. Dr. Helix Carr raised her limbs, her crystalline form glinting faintly. Stay calm, she called, but alarms drowned her voice. The hall shook, panels rattling loose. Students scrambled, some tripping in the dimness. The air grew hot as climate systems failed, replaced by the planet's harsh, heavy atmosphere. Eli stood steady, his pulse quick but controlled. He glanced at the chaos, then acted. "Follow me," he said, voice cutting through the din. He moved to the Nexus entrance just outside the hall. The tunnel yawned, cool and inviting. He gestured to Era, Voss, and Sylvie. "Inside now." They hesitated, fear rooting them. Eli didn't wait. He grabbed a small lamp from his pack, its glow steady. Era floated unsteadily, her form thinning. Voss clanked forward, arms stiff but moving. Sylvie shuffled, her leaves drooping. Dr. Carr followed, her crystals dim with shock. Eli led them down the tunnel, the air cooling with each step. The Nexus's stone walls stood firm, untouched by the storm's pulse. Shelves lined the chamber, stocked with jars and dried roots. The scent of brine and earth grounded them. Outside, the storm roared, winds howling against the campus. Eli lit a small fire at the tunnel's entrance, its glow a beacon in the chaos. Smoke curled upward, signaling safety. He turned to the group, assessing their needs. Era hovered low, her breathing erratic. Voss stood rigid, his systems offline. Sylvie's leaves trembled, starved for light. From Voss's perspective, the Nexus felt alien. His generator, a marvel of precision, lay dead outside. Yet Eli's crude supplies sat untouched, mocking his faith in tech. "This is crude," he muttered, optics scanning the jars. Still he stayed, drawn by the seller's calm. Eli moved quickly. He checked the ventilation valves, ensuring airflow for Era. The storm's interference hadn't reached here. The Nexus relied on natural convection, its tunnels carved to guide Orpheus Delta's winds. "Breathe slowly," he told Era, his voice steady. She nodded, her form stabilizing slightly. He handed Voss a jar of raw protein gel. "It's lumpy, but it'll keep you running," Eli said. Voss inspected it, skeptical. The gel lacked his generator's polish, but it was sustenance. He took it, silent. For Sylvie, Eli angled a reflective panel near the tunnel's mouth. It caught faint storm light, channeling it to her leaves. "Not perfect, but it'll help," he said. Sylvie's branches relaxed, a faint green returning. Dr. Carr watched, her crystalline face unreadable. Her standardized protocols had crumbled. The Academy's tech, her pride, lay in ruins. Eli's Nexus stood alone, a simple haven. She said nothing, but her gaze lingered on him. The group settled in, the storm's roar muffled by stone. Eli distributed dried roots, their crunch breaking the silence. Fermented greens followed, their tang sharp but comforting. The flavors surprised them, rich and grounding. Era's form steadied further, her breathing rhythmic. Voss chewed slowly, optics flickering. Sylvie's leaves perked slightly, sustained by reflected light. Outside, the storm raged on. Magnetic waves pulsed through the viewport, a small window Eli had carved. Colors danced, violent and mesmerizing. He kept the group calm, his presence steady. "We're safe here," he said, voice low but firm. He shared a story of Earth, of Sellers saving his family during outages. Era listened, her form still. Voss grunted, intrigued despite himself. Sylvie's branches swayed, soothed. The Nexus held strong, its simplicity a shield. Eli checked the supplies, ensuring enough for days. The storm showed no signs of slowing. He glanced at his classmates, their faces lit by the lamp's glow. They trusted him now, even Voss. The thought settled heavily, but he bore it. Hours passed, the storm unrelenting. Eli adjusted the vents again, keeping the air fresh. The fire outside burned low, its light steady against the chaos. The Nexus was their refuge, and in Eli its keeper. The Nexus cellar hummed with quiet life, its stone walls muffling the storm's fury. Eli Navarro moved with purpose, his lamp casting soft shadows. The air stayed cool thanks to the vents he'd carved. Era hovered near a valve, her gaseous form steadier now. Eli adjusted it carefully, ensuring a steady flow for her breathing. "Breathe in rhythm," he said, voice calm but firm. She nodded, her shimmering form settling. The 3:1 nitrogen-oxygen ratio held, guided by the tunnel's natural draft. Voss Harrow sat against a wall, his 6 arms still. Eli handed him a jar of raw protein gel. "It's lumpy, but it'll keep you running," he said, a faint smile tugging his lips. Voss's optics narrowed, scanning the gel. "Not up to standard," he muttered, but he took a portion. It fueled his systems, crude but effective. He chewed slowly, grudging respect flickering in his gaze. Sylvie Linden's leaves trembled less now. Eli angled the reflective panel again, catching more storm light from the tunnel's mouth. Faint beams reached her, enough to keep her roots alive. "Thank you," she whispered, her bark-like skin rustling. Eli nodded. "Temporary fix, but it'll do." Her leaves perked slightly, soaking in the dim glow. Dr. Helix's car sat silently, her crystalline form dim in the lamplight. She watched Eli work, her usual authority shaken. The Academy's tech had failed spectacularly. Her standardized protocols were useless. The Nexus, with its simple shelves and briny jars, stood as proof of her oversight. She clutched a dried root, its crunch loud in the quiet. Eli passed out more food. Fermented vegetables followed the roots, their tangy bite surprising Era. "This is, good," she admitted, her voice a soft hum. Voss grunted, eating more gel. More. Sylvie nibbled a root, her leaves steadier. The group shared the meal, the act knitting them closer. From Era's perspective, Eli's ingenuity felt like a lifeline. Her compressor had failed, but his hands had saved her. Gratitude warmed her core, a new sensation. Eli leaned against a rack, explaining the Nexus's design. "It's convection," he said. "Tunnels pull in wind at precise angles. Keeps things cool. No power needed." His voice stayed even, but pride flickered beneath. Voss tilted his head, calculating. The math checked out, though he'd never admit it. Sylvie listened, her branches swaying gently, intrigued by the human's logic. The storm roared outside, its magnetic waves pulsing through the viewport. Colors swirled, chaotic and unrelenting. Eli kept the group grounded. He shared another Earth story, his voice low and lulling. "My folks survived a winter with nothing but a cellar like this. Salt and wind did the trick." Era's form shimmered, soothed. Voss let out a reluctant chuckle, the sound metallic but warm. Sylvie's leaves rustled, a soft laugh joining in. From Sylvie's perspective, Eli's calm was a marvel. Her lamp had been her world, its tech her lifeline. Now in this dim chamber, a human's rough hands outdid her science. She felt a quiet awe, her roots anchoring deeper. Eli's simplicity wasn't a weakness. It was a strength. Hours dragged on, the storm unyielding. Eli checked the supplies, jars glinting in the lamplight. Enough for days if needed. He adjusted the fire outside, its glow steady against the chaos. The Nexus held firm, its air crisp, its shelves full. Era breathed easier, her form stable. Voss's systems hummed, sustained by the gel. Sylvie's leaves held their green, fragile but enduring. Dr. Carr broke her silence. "Navarro," she said, her voice softer than before. "This works." Eli met her gaze, nodding. "It's what I know." She looked away, her crystals catching the light. Doubt lingered, but respect crept in. Eli moved to the viewport, watching the storms dance. Magnetic waves rippled, fierce but distant. He turned back to the group, their faces lit by the lamp. Trust bound them now, forged in crisis. He felt the weight of it, a quiet duty. "We'll get through," he said, voice steady. No one argued. The fire outside flickered, its smoke curling into the storm. Eli checked the vents again, ensuring airflow. The Nexus was their haven, its simplicity a defiance of the chaos above. He sat among them, sharing the last of the roots. The group ate in silence. The storm's roar a distant growl. Eli's mind stayed sharp, planning for what came next. The Nexus would hold, but the storm wasn't done. The storm outside the Nexus grew fiercer, its winds howling like distant thunder. Eli Navarro felt the ground tremble through the cellar's stone floor. The Academy's foundations shook, a low rumble building to a crescendo. Nearby, a dome cracked with a sharp snap, audible even underground. Debris clattered against the tunnel's entrance, the sound echoing faintly. Eli glanced at the viewport, magnetic waves pulsing brighter. Colors clashed in violent swirls, the storm's heart unleashed. Dr. Helix's car shifted, her crystalline form catching the lamp's dim glow. She looked at the group, her voice barely above a whisper. I underestimated this. Orpheus Delta's magnetic volatility. It's my fault. Her words hung heavy, blame etched in her dimming crystals. She had pushed the exam forward, ignoring the weather AI's warnings. Now the campus lay vulnerable, her protocols shattered. Era's form flickered again, residual magnetic interference seeping through. Her breathing rhythm disrupted. She gasped softly. The valve's airflow faltered under the storm's lingering pulse. It's shifting, she murmured, panic edging her hum. Eli moved quickly, assessing her with steady eyes. He rummaged through his supplies, pulling out charcoal and a strip of cloth. With deft hands, he rigged an improvised filter, wrapping the charcoal tightly. He fitted it to the valve, blocking the interference. Try now, he said, voice calm. Era inhaled, her form stabilizing. The filter worked, air flowing clean once more. Voss Harrow stood, his 6 arms clanking in frustration. His tech lay useless outside, a pile of fried circuits. This storm's relentless, he growled, optics scanning the entrance. Debris rattled louder now. He turned to Eli. Need help reinforcing? Eli nodded. Yeah, let's brace it. Voss's arms moved swiftly, piling stones and bracing beams against the tunnel mouth. His mechanical strength made quick work, sealing gaps. Frustration fueled him, but purpose steadied his grip. Sylvie's leaves had stabilized under the reflected stormlight, a faint green returning. Yet worry creased her bark-like face. My lamp's gone for good, she said softly. How long without it? Her roots shifted uneasily in the soil tray. Eli glanced her way. We'll manage. Light's holding for now. She nodded, but doubt lingered. Long-term survival gnawed at her. The Nexus was a temporary bomb. Eli worked on, his mind churning. Deep down, fear surfaced. What if the storm lasted days? What if supplies ran thin? He feared failing them. These classmates turned allies. But duty pushed him forward, a quiet drive from Earth's harsh lessons. He shook it off, focusing on the tasks. The Nexus was solid, but the storm tested everything. The group huddled closer as the roar peaked, winds screaming overhead. The cellar trembled, dust sifting from the ceiling. They pressed together, warmth shared in the cool air. The lamp flickered slightly but held. Eli sat among them, his presence an anchor. From Sylvie's perspective, his quiet confidence shone. Humans, often dismissed as fragile, showed resilience here. Eli's steady hands and calm words revealed a strength she admired. It reshaped her view, a quiet revelation amid the chaos. Eli rose, distributing the last dried food. Roots and gels passed hand to limb, portions equal. Enough for another day, he said, ensuring each had their share. Era took hers gratefully, her form steady. Voss chewed thoughtfully, his frustration easing. Sylvie nibbled, her worry softening. Dr. Carr accepted silently, her blame a shadow. The storm's peak battered on, magnetic pulses vivid through the viewport. Eli checked the filter again. Air was flowing smoothly. Voss reinforced a loose brace, his arms efficient. Era floated calmly, breathing even. Sylvie's leaves held firm, light sufficient. The Nexus remained their refuge, stone walls unyielding. Eli leaned back, watching the group. Trust bound them tighter now. He felt the weight, but bore it. The roar outside began to wane slightly, a hint of relief, but the crisis held, testing their limits. Eli's mind stayed alert, planning. The Nexus would see them through, one breath at a time. The storm's roar softened, its howl fading to a low moan. Eli Navarro stood at the Nexus's viewport, watching the auroras dim. Their chaotic swirls calmed, greens and purples dissolving into the dawn. The magnetic storm was weakening, leaving the CIFR Academy in silence. He stepped away, lamp in hand, and signaled the group. "Let's check outside," he said, voice steady. Era, Voss, Sylvie, and Dr. Helix Carr followed, their steps cautious. The tunnel's cool air gave way to the campus's heavy warmth as they emerged. The academy lay in ruin. Shattered panels littered the ground. Climate domes sagged, their frames bent. Holographic displays sparked faintly, dead. Eli scanned the wreckage, his boots crunching on debris. Era floated beside him, her form shimmering with relief. "It's over," she whispered, her breathing steady. Voss's optics scanned the chaos, his 6 arms tense. Sylvie's leaves perked in the natural light, her roots shifting eagerly. Dr. Carr's crystals glinted, her composure returning but strained. Eli led them through the campus, assessing the damage. Fallen cables tangled underfoot. Supply crates lay scattered, their contents spoiled. The Nexus stood untouched, its entrance a quiet testament to resilience. Era turned to Eli, her voice soft. "You saved us," she said, her form glowing faintly. Eli nodded, brushing off the praise. "Just did what worked." Voss paused by his ruined generator, its circuits blackened. He crouched, touching the wreckage. "My tech failed," he admitted, his metallic voice low. "Your crude setup didn't." The words carried a grudging respect. Eli met his gaze. "Sometimes simple's better." Voss's optics flickered, a lesson sinking in. He stood, arms folding thoughtfully. Sylvie stepped into a patch of sunlight, her leaves stretching. "I want to learn this," she said, gesturing to the Nexus. "Your way of preserving." Her voice held quiet resolve, her roots firm. Eli smiled faintly. "It's just basics. I'll show you." She nodded, a spark of curiosity in her bark-like face. Dr. Carr approached, her crystals catching the dawn's light. "Navarro, your foresight was exceptional," she said, her tone softer than before. Her earlier skepticism lingered, but admiration broke through. Eli shrugged. "Built it to last, Doctor." She looked away, her gaze settling on the ruined campus, her pride humbled. A low hum broke the silence. A shuttle descended, its sleek form cutting through the clearing sky. The Cross-Species Risk Council had arrived. Its ramp lowered, revealing a towering figure with multiple limbs, its presence commanding. The leader surveyed the wreckage, its gaze neutral but piercing. Students gathered, murmurs rippling. Eli stood by the Nexus entrance, ready to explain. From Voss's perspective, the moment felt pivotal. His faith in tech had crumbled, but Eli's Nexus stood firm. The human's quiet competence sparked an idea. Hybrid systems, blending tech with nature's resilience. Voss's mind whirred, already designing something new, inspired by the seller's simplicity. The council leader stepped forward, its voice resonant. "Navarro, step forward." Eli complied, his jacket dusty but his stance steady. The group watched, Era's form hovering close, Sylvie's leaves still, Dr. Carr tense. The leader's limbs gestured to the Nexus. "Your shelter sustained 12 students for 30 hours. Flawless." Eli nodded, saying nothing, his calm unshaken. The leader scanned the group, then the wreckage. The academy was unprepared. Navarro's methods proved otherwise. A murmur spread, students exchanging glances. Eli stood quietly, the Nexus behind him a symbol of survival. The council's arrival felt ominous, their words hinting at more than a simple inspection. Eli glanced at his classmates. Era's gratitude shone in her glow. Voss's respect was hard-won but clear. Sylvie's curiosity promised change. Dr. Carr's silence spoke of lessons learned. The Nexus entrance loomed, its stone frame unyielding. Eli felt the weight of their trust, a quiet duty settling deeper. The council leader turned to Dr. Carr. "Report expected," it said, voice flat. She nodded, crystals dimming. Eli stepped back, letting the moment unfold. The storm had passed, but its lessons lingered. The Nexus stood as proof, its simplicity a challenge to the Academy's tech. Eli's work wasn't done, but for now they were safe. The Cross-Species Risk Council's leader stood before the wrecked CIFR Academy, its multi-limbed form casting a long shadow. Eli Navarro stood by the Nexus entrance, his worn jacket dusted with soil. The air felt lighter now. The storm's weight lifted. Students gathered, their faces a mix of awe and exhaustion. Era floated nearby, her form glowing steadily. Voss's optics scanned the council shuttle, his arms still. Sylvie's leaves caught the sunlight, vibrant again. Dr. Helix Carr's crystals flickered, her gaze fixed on the leader. The council leader's voice cut through the quiet. Navarro was no accident. The words landed heavily, murmurs rippling through the crowd. He was placed here, a test of your resilience without technology. Eli's expression didn't change, but his grip tightened on his sketch pad. The truth settled in, sharp and clear. He wasn't just a student. He was the Risk Council's experiment. Dr. Carr stepped forward, her crystals dimming further. "I doubted you," she said to Eli, her voice low. Shame reflected in her glinting facets. "I was wrong." Eli met her gaze, his nod brief. "No harm done, Doctor." His modesty held firm, but a quiet pride stirred within. The Nexus had proven its worth. The leader gestured to the cellar. Navarro's design sustained 12 students for 30 hours, a perfect score. Era's form shimmered with respect, her earlier panic replaced by gratitude. Voss's arms clicked softly, his mind still turning over hybrid designs. Sylvie's branches swayed, her resolve to learn Eli's method stronger. The leader's gaze swept the group. The Academy failed this test. Only Navarro's simplicity succeeded. Dr. Carr straightened, her voice steady despite her shame. "We'll adapt." The leader nodded. "You will. A new course begins. Survival skills during technological outages. Navarro will lead." Eli blinked, surprise flickering briefly. He nodded, accepting the role. The Nexus, once mocked, would now be a classroom. The council leader stepped back, its shuttle humming to life. "Preserve the cellar," it said. "Study it." The ramp closed and the shuttle rose, vanishing into Orpheus Delta's sky. Students dispersed, whispering about the revelation. Eli stood by the Nexus, its stone entrance solid under the suns. From Voss's perspective, the moment sparked change. His ruined generator had taught him humility. Eli's Nexus, crude but effective, inspired a new path. He envisioned a system blending tech's precision with nature's durability. His 6 arms twitched, eager to design. "Not bad, human," he muttered to Eli, a rare grin in his voice. Eli chuckled. "High praise." Era approached, her form steady. "You gave me air," she said softly. "I won't forget." Eli shrugged. "Just doing what worked." Sylvie joined them, her leaves vibrant. "I'm signing up for your class," she said, her tone firm. Eli smiled. "Got plenty to share." Dr. Carr lingered, her crystals brighter now. "The Academy changes today," she said. "Thanks to you." Eli nodded, his focus already shifting. He walked into the Nexus, tweaking event's angle. The chamber felt alive, its air crisp, its shelves ready for study. The campus would rebuild, weaving low-tech backups into its high-tech frame. The Nexus would guide that shift. Eli stood in the cellar, lamp casting soft shadows. He felt the weight of his new role, but it fit like his old jacket. Students would learn here, their species diverse but united by need. The Nexus wasn't just a shelter, It was a lesson. Simplicity endured where tech faltered. Days later, Eli taught his first class. Students crowded the Nexus, their eyes wide. Era hovered, taking notes on airflow. Voss sketched hybrid designs, his optics bright. Sylvie adjusted her soil tray, inspired by Eli's roots. Dr. Carr watched from the back, her skepticism gone. The chamber glowed softly, its stone walls a testament to resilience. Eli spoke calmly, his voice warm. Salt preserves, wind cools, roots sustain. His words carried Earth's lessons, now shared across species. The Nexus stood behind him, its simplicity a quiet power. The Academy would never forget the storm, nor the human who defied it. Eli glanced at his sketch pad, a new page open. The future waited, and he was ready.